there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. GM Potter here, and as it is the start of October, we are doing 13 spooky books. Starting off this month, we will be going over my favorite spooky book, Carrie, a novel of a girl with a frightening power by Stephen King. So, this book came out in 1974. It's got multiple movie adaptations, it's got a film adaptation, there's a TV show and supposedly in the works, and there's a Broadway musical for Carrie. So, with as much critical acclaim and success and staying power as this book has, why is it that Stephen King doesn't actually like it very much? So, let's get into it. So, this book, like most Stephen King books, is dedicated to Tabby. This is for Tabby, who got me into it and then bailed me out of it. So, which I think it's sweet that he dedicates his books to his wife. I think that's just lovely. So, the blurb on the back cover, this is a novel about the other world in this world. It is the chilling story of a girl and her strange power. Carrie White could produce motion with objects without contact or physical means. This little-known phenomenon, known as telekinesis, is produced in individuals under circumstances of extreme psychic stress, and Carrie was indeed pushed beyond human limits as she unleashed her frightening power upon a small New England town. Stephen King's story will stun your sensibilities, jangle your nerve endings, and make you wonder even more. So, I love this book. This is the first Stephen King book that I read. It's also actually the first horror novel I read. Horror is one of my favorite genres of writing. I loved horror movies from a young age. I think the first horror movie I saw, I don't know if you could call it a horror movie, but Night of the Comet, it's a zombie movie, or 13 Ghosts with Tony Shalhoub. So those are the two that I remember. Like 13 Ghosts, I remember being the first like scary movie I saw. But Night of the Comet we had on VHS tape, and I watched it all the time because I loved that movie. It's got the principal from Rock and Roll High School. It's got Chakotay from Star Trek. It's amazing. Definitely, if you get the chance to watch Night of the Comet, watch Night of the Comet. It's so good. But Carrie is the first horror novel I read. It's the first Stephen King novel I read, and I love Stephen King. I just do. I like his writing style. I like how engaging and engrossing it is, and how everything is visual or tactile when you go to read it, and it's like you're there. And like the times where I've been reading and I've forgotten I'm reading, a lot of those have been with Stephen King books. So this book has had some criticism from people saying that the structure of it is awkward because it's told through newspaper clippings and through articles, and also through the rememberings of Sue Snell, who survived the incident. Which, that's not really a spoiler because you know she survived the first bit into the book, but it reminds me of a quote from another Stephen King book, which is Desperation, which is, "God is cruel because sometimes he makes you live." While it doesn't have a traditionally happy ending, my takeaway from it is that it has a happy ending, because in the end she's not alone, the very, very end. And so the book starts out, we have Carrietta White, who is the only child of a single-parent household. Margaret is a religious person. She is full on cuckoo banana pants. And it is like she has a prayer closet for Carrie, and she has it's over the top insanity where her mother is concerned. She's abusive emotionally, physically, verbally, every kind of way you can be abusive. Carrie's mother is abusive. And Carrie isn't educated in the basic facts of life, let's say. So our story really kicks off after gym class. Carrie's showering and she notices blood down there. She thinks she's going to die because she thinks she's bleeding out. And the rest of the girls, this is high school, like most of them have had their periods for years already, start screaming at her and laughing at her, and it culminates in them throwing pads and possibly tampons, I don't remember, but definitely pads and the belts that went with them at the time, at her and shouting, "Plug it up, plug it up." And Carrie is so scared and so frightened and so traumatized by everything that's going on. She breaks the light bulbs in the shower room, and like just with the sheer force of terror that's coursing through her body at what's happening and how people are treating her over it. And that's really what sparks off this story. I think one of the reasons why I love this book so much is because it's the horror novel version of Matilda, which I love the movie Matilda, and I loved the book Matilda growing up. Like, the book was one of my favorite books. The movie, I wore out our local Blockbuster's copy of the tape. I watched it so many times because I would check it out and I'd watch it and I'd put it in the VCR rewinder and then I'd pop it out and put it back in the VCR and watch it again. And again, I can still quote the whole movie from memory, but it's that same kind of feel that you have this abused, neglected girl who discovers something greater than within herself. And it's a question of do I use this power for good or do I use this power for vengeance? I won't say evil because I don't think Carrie's evil. I think Carrie's vengeful. I think Carrie craves justice, but I don't think she's evil. She's definitely the antagonist of the story. She's the titular character, but she's the antagonist. Sue Snell is the protagonist. Yeah, it's great. The prom scene, there's a moment in the prom scene where the sprinklers go off, and rather than the terror and things, like, the thought that pops into one of the other characters' heads is, oh no, the floors, they're wood. And it's like that disconnect that only people who've been in truly horrible situations can feel. That I can't remember who said it. When you write about atrocities, when you write about horrible things, you don't write about the grandness of it. You write about a lone child's shoe in the middle of the street. You write about, like, a letter that's been stepped on. You write about something small and insignificant and you make it mean something. This book has made its way onto the subreddit Men Writing Women, because it's written by a man. It's written from a male perspective. It's a male voice, even though the majority of the characters are female. And it shows in places. Like, there's some things that he doesn't get, but the cruelness of it, at least for me, mirrored my own experiences with the book, and so it really resonated with me. Like, a lot of people are like, oh well, women aren't this mean to each other and blah blah blah. I'm like, they can be. There's moments that are like sexualized in the book, and that feels more like society encroaching, because Carrie comes from such a narrow worldview, that she comes from such a narrow point of view, that anything beyond that is worldly. Anything beyond that is worldly and therefore bad. So any kind of sexualization is bad sexualization. Any kind of language is bad language. Like, Carrie is puritanical and as fresh as New York snow, and to see her shaped and corrupted by this power that she has is really something. Have you read it? Have you seen the movies? Which is your favorite movie? I personally like the Sissy Spacek John Travolta one from the 70s. I think that one is the best one. The Chloe Grace Moretz one was okay, not my favorite. If we're talking movies though, the TV movie that was on the Sci-Fi Channel, I think, is the best one. Because it felt like they had at least been in the same room as the book. Like, it's 199 pages. Like, it's not long. Like, you can read it in a day, easy. It goes by quick, and so many of the adaptations feel like they didn't read the book, and they read the Wikipedia article on the book and didn't read the book. So, what did you think of Carrie? What do you think of Stephen King? Are you excited for Halloween? I know I am. Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!